hilarious.
Smile and laugh and joke.
Can't believe it's Friday all of a sudden. The days are just kind of like sneaking up.
Hi, friends. How are you doing? Richard Irvin, Mayor of Aurora. And yes, it is Friday, and it seems like the days are just eking up. All our days are blending together here. And today we have another educational entertainment conversation for you. It's not too easy to bring light to the COVID-19 situation, but we are able to talk about animals and pets on a nice Friday afternoon, as one of my guests just pointed out. It just makes it a lot nicer when we're doing it on a Friday and the sun is shining. Welcome to May. Today is May 1st. The month is also National Pet Month and Illinois Healthy Pet Month. So everything ties to today's conversation. We've seen reports in the news lately about household pets and zoo animals contracting COVID-19 or demonstrating COVID-like symptoms. Of course, that generate questions from our community. So today we are hoping to ease those concerns while putting a spotlight on some of our animals in Aurora and how we've been taking care of them for the past month and a half. I have two of our wonderful executive team staff members here in the city of Aurora representing the Phillips Park Zoo and Aurora Animal Care and Control. Since animals need to be taken care of, them and their teams are an essential part of the whole puzzle. I'm going to ask Dan Powell and Anna Payton to introduce themselves and share a few things about their experiences so we can see the caliber of professionals that they are here in the city of Aurora. We'll go ahead and start with the zoo manager, Dan. Introduce yourself, brother.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Powell, and I'm the zoo manager here at Phillips Park Zoo. I've done this job for almost 3 years now. And before that time, I was a zookeeper at Brookfield Zoo for about 20 years, taking care of the animals at the Hamel Family Play Zoo, Children's Zoo, and Animal Ambassador areas as a lead keeper for that department. A degree in biology with a background in education as well.
All right. Well, welcome to the show here this sunny afternoon, Dan. And let's go on to Miss Anna Payton. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Payton, and I head up Aurora Animal Care and Control. I've been here for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was executive director of the Naperville Area Humane Society. And prior to that, I was the director of Kendall County Animal Control. I'm also the president of the Illinois Animal Welfare Federation. And Dan and I are actually both adjunct professors at Aurora University. So very excited to share the stage with him today. And been in animal welfare for about 17 years. I have a bachelor's degree in animal sciences and a master's degree in teaching.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, we got some talented folks here working with the city of Aurora and working with our beloved animal community, both our wild animals and our domestic animals, but all loved the same way. First let's talk about, COVID-19 and how that's affected how you guys work with your different animal populations. Now, we initially had a veterinarian that was booked today, but they had some other responsibilities taking care of some animal friends of ours and could not be here. So, but I know you guys are prepared to answer all the questions. There have been sporadic cases of house pets being positive, and I'll direct this one to you, Anna. House pets being positive for COVID-19. Should there be cause for concern?
No, actually, there's no documentation that shows that people can contract COVID-19 from their animals. So we're looking at that as a one-off case if the animals contracted it from their pet owners who were sick with that illness. But the CDC says there's no proof that people can contract it from pets. So there's no need to panic. And I think that's the biggest message I have for people is to, we want to take in information, but we don't want to react based on fear. So people should not be concerned about, getting that disease from their dogs or cats in the home.
And I'll ask you another question before we go to Dan. How best can we keep our pets safe from COVID-19 or any virus that a human may have?
Yeah, well, it's really important to have a good relationship with your veterinarian. And talking with our vet partner, Dr. Jacobson at Oswego Animal Hospital, that they take such good care of us. It's really important to talk to your veterinarian and see what's best for your pet. Make sure that they're up to date on all the vaccines. appropriate for the animal and as well as their lifestyle. You know, if they're outside a lot, or, you know, in wooded areas, things like that, there's different things that, you know, they can be exposed to versus if they're living in a condo or more urban area. So it's really important to have those conversations with your vet and go on their recommendations.
Thank you, Anna. And Dan, let me switch to you for a second. Now, you as our zoo manager, deal with wild animals. However, animals that are in captivity, but still in wild animals, and we try to keep them in their natural habitat as much as possible. Kind of, you know, and we've heard about 2 tigers at least being contracted with COVID-19, although there aren't many people walking through the zoo these days because of the stay-at-home order. It will be lifted at some point, and maybe the zoos will be open. So should we be concerned for the animals giving us COVID-19 and vice versa, us giving it to them?
No, absolutely not. So from a public standpoint, the animals are kept at a far enough distance back that the transmission of any diseases from the animals to the people are really minimized. The biggest concern would be us bringing diseases to the animals. And so in this case, exposing them, the zookeepers exposing them potentially to it. And we've actually taken steps to be able to minimize that. Even before the cases were discovered in New York with the 2 tigers, we were able to put in place foot baths and masks and gloves as part of our general care for the wolves and the 2 cats that we have on premises, based on our vet's recommendations, which she got by researching or past work in dealing with some of the other coronaviruses and how they might have been transmitted. So we've got everything pretty much taken care of here on that, and really treat that the same way that we would a person, like making sure that the keepers wouldn't transmit it from person to person. We just make it so that the keepers can't transmit it to the animals as well.
And let me follow up on that. I'm going to go to you, Dan, and then I'll come back to you and ask a similar question, Anna. All right. So when you talked about a person transmitting it from person to animal, your zookeepers in particular, who are closer to the animals than the general population would be, if for some reason they did if for some reason something happened and an animal did contract it, are you also concerned with an animal to animal contraction of disease?
I don't believe that there's been anything to show that there's a lot to do that, but we also have to always make sure that we sterilize and sanitize things before we put another animal in there. So like that, for instance, the 2 cats, they can't be together anyway.
Okay,
they don't get along. And so though they will share a common space at separate times, we always sterilize that environment as part of our rote thing, because it's more likely that we'd spread, you know, coccidia if one of them had it or another disease. So we just get rid of all of that possibility all of the time.
Well, what about the case where the wolves have to be together?
I think, again, it would be more likely that both would get it from the human that was taking care of them than from each other. Okay. But I'm not, there's a lot going on with it, so I don't know for sure.
Well, Anna, the same question you know, I know you just said that, you know, we can be concerned with transmitting it from the animal to the human and even the human to the animal. However, what about if for some reason an animal did get it, as you know, a few domestic cats have? What about animal to animal? Should we be social distancing our animals from each other, our dogs and cats, and, you know, vice versa?
Well, I'd say within the home, you know, that's not really a concern. In general practice, you know, if you're walking your dog and you see somebody else walking their dog, right now, I mean, the bigger concern is people. So you don't want to have the dogs approach and engage with each other because you just don't want the personal contact between the people, not really the concern of the dogs. If you have a cat, you want to keep your cat indoors, and by city ordinance, they're required to maintain indoors anyway. So you don't want your cat free roaming, so they're engaging with other animals without you being able to supervise them. So you just follow best practices and the city ordinances, then you should be good. We have an animal guest joining me a little early.
A little early, huh? He's wondering what's going on. Who are you talking to? Well, we'll introduce him in just a second. I have a few more questions for you before we get on to introducing our animal friends. I've heard some moving in the background, so I assumed it was our animal friends in the background making some noises. You know, Anna, let me ask you another question. You know, a lot of people are working from home a lot more now than, probably ever that we've ever remembered in history, in our recent history. Should we be doing anything different with our pets now that we're home a lot more and they're not used to us being home during the day?
Yeah, I think some of the pets are probably like, what the heck? I enjoy my quality time alone.
Why aren't you going to work? Look at the time.
I have big plans to lay on your bed and do naughty things. No,
Don't you have somewhere to be?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is just recognizing, just like for all the people, it can be stressful for the pets. They don't understand what's going on. And it's a transitional period from you being gone to now you're home. And you might be stressed out too with trying to do conference calls. And if you have a helper like I do right now, that might be a little, overwhelming for you. So, thinking about ways that you can do enrichment for your pets and keep them occupied and busy. You can do frozen treats or something that takes the dog a while to work on. Crate training is always good as far as having them have a place that they can go to, that's their space, that they can spend their time and kind of be out of the way, not as a punishment, but just their own personal space, just like we all have our own rooms and places that we can be, is really good. And then just be aware that it's also going to be a transition when you go back to work. So when this is over and they're now accustomed to you being home all the time, especially if you're someone who's adopted a pet during this time, thank you very much for doing that. But recognize it's going to be a change. So, make sure you're spending time away and they have time alone so they can practice, being able to be okay with that. You don't want to pull the rug out from under them and you're home 24/7, then all of a sudden you're gone 8 to 12 hours. That's going to be quite the change for them too. So just get them used to being left alone and again, giving them things to do so they keep themselves busy and occupied. So they're not getting into trouble or pestering you when you're trying to do a Zoom meeting.
Absolutely. And so let's go to Dan for a second. Let's talk about the changes that you've implemented to your facility to keep the animals safe and just the changes in general to the zoo since COVID-19 began.
Yeah, so the primary things that we've done are staff related. So we know that it's really important to try to keep everybody as far apart as possible. And so we basically broke the work group up into two sets of 3 keepers. And they work 4 days each, totally separate. And then so those 2 groups don't commingle. And that way we don't if somebody were to come up positive, we don't transmit across so that we could lose all of the zookeepers in one shot. Yeah. And so then we also have been able to adjust our start and end times to make it so that one keeper can start out in a building where they need to prep their food or whatever, can start out early in the morning, take care of all of that stuff, sanitize the area before the next keeper starts and would need that spot. And so we kind of rotate around the zoo in that fashion as well. So even the 3 people that are here every day, we communicate via the radio and we can use our cell phones and stuff. But face-to-face conversations are diminished except for critical animal care procedures that we'd have to do.
Gotcha.
Those 2 things together gives us a lot of insurance and flexibility in being able to respond if something did happen.
And of course, currently now the zoo is closed. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
Right.
So no visitors in, but the animals are still doing great.
Yeah. Just wondering where the people are at, huh? So Anna, what about you? What's changed with animal control since COVID-19?
So much like the zoo, our facility is closed to the public. We have staff that is still here every single day taking care of the animals and the officers responding to calls. So while we've stopped taking in owner surrender animals until this is over, we still have to take care of stray animals. So we have officers that are working from their vehicles and responding to calls of stray animals, also calls of neglect and abuse. So they're ensuring the safety for the people and animals in our community, which is really important. We offer curbside pickup. So if somebody finds a stray animal, we will go out and assist the public and bring the animal into our facility, as well as curbside reclaims. So you have to be a little creative in how we do that, but definitely trying to limit the exposure between people while still being able to reunite them with their animals, which is very important.
Wow, that's great. And I want to ask one more question. I'll start with you, Dan. What is your plan once the zoo reopens to deal with? Because there won't be a vaccine yet. There won't be a cure for COVID-19. But of course, we want to open the zoo and have people be able to enjoy our animals in the habitats that we've created for them. What is the plan once it reopens?
We've got a couple of things that we're looking at. One of the first things is possibly leaving the reptile house closed or doing some kind of alternate entrance exit technique to limit the number of people through there. It's one of the bottlenecks in the zoo that we'd want to make sure that we don't let people crowd in there and that kind of stuff. Keeping track of how many people are on zoo grounds at a time, or doing some other things to limit that to a reasonable number, depending on when we open and how everything else opens. So if we're the first park to open up and we get flooded, then that might be more of an issue than if everything opened up at the same time.
Gotcha.
So those would be our primary things, and then possibly looking at restructuring some of the education programs that we do. We do a lot of face-to-face talks and seeing if we can't possibly restructure that to be electronic based, or instead of going to classrooms, doing Zoom meetings for classrooms and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. What about you, Anna? It's when it reopens, how is it going to look?
Yeah, I
what
mean,
should people expect?
I think that Dan kind of hit it on the head. I mean, looking at how do we go back into stages, you can't just open the floodgates and let everybody in, or go back to what previously was done. People keep saying normal. I'm not sure there is going to be a normal moving forward, but we're starting to do adoptions, limited adoptions by appointment only, and looking at how we can move forward in that way. We're doing a lot of counseling over the phone. All the paperwork is done electronically. So again,
what do you mean by counseling?
So talking to people about what they're looking for in an animal, what their lifestyle is like, personality wise.
Gotcha.
I always say if you're an avid runner, while that bulldog puppy is super cute, unless you're taking him in a jogging stroller, probably not a good fit for you.
Exactly.
And on the flip side, if you're a couch potato and that 1-year-old yellow lab is calling your name, again, may not be a good fit personality wise. So really talking through, again, making sure it's a good fit before they come to meet the animal. So.
Wow, that's a very good point. Never thought about it like that. Right. Maybe that lab will get you out jogging more than and off to the couch.
There you go.
Get you out jogging like you probably should be versus being a couch potato. But anyway, I think let's get to the exciting time. I saw, Anna, you just had a friend there. Is your friend still close?
Yeah,
all right. Can you introduce us? And while you're doing that, Anna, Dan, you want to grab your first friend? All right. We'll meet Anna's friend first.
Oh, goodness. Well, if I can get her to look at the camera, this will be an exciting time. This is Cyprus. Cyprus, say hello.
Oh, hey, Cyprus. How you doing? Cyprus. He's like, wait, who's that talking?
So Cyprus came to us in February as a stray.
Aww.
And while we knew who the owner was, the owner did not come back to reclaim her.
Yeah.
Not sure why. She's a very sweet girl. She's very smart. She loves to play with toys. We have her in the office quite frequently. And she really likes new toys. So while she has a ton of toys available to her at all times, she likes to go in our secret stashes and pull out the toys with tags on them still and play with those, which is always very thoughtful of her.
Everybody likes new stuff.
Yes.
Cyprus is no different.
Yes.
What type of dog breed is Cyprus?
Well, we don't know. We do not label dogs as far as breed goes unless
Gotcha.
we have a DNA test or actual pedigree papers, because research has shown you cannot tell a dog's breed by looking at it. So we try to be open and honest. She's a large mixed breed. Other than that, we just say that she's cute.
What do you, when you say a large mixed breed, how do you rank the animals? Is it large, medium, small? And what makes a person, what is it, weight? What is it?
Yeah, she's about 80 pounds. So she's a big girl. She's athletic. She's more muscular. Come here, Cyprus. She's very smart. She knows sits and give paw. Come here. And she walks nicely on leash, and she does like to give kisses, as you can see.
How old would you say Cyprus is?
She is 3 years old.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, she sees you here.
Oh, hello.
Come here.
Hi, Cyprus. How are you doing? I was like, what is that? Who are these people talking on the screen? She's a cutie. She's a cutie. And you said she's been there since February?
Yes, she's been here since February.
So she's ready to join somebody's home, go home for adoption, is she?
Yeah, she is fully vetted. She's been spayed. She's microchipped. She's ready to go home. Our adoption fee is only $90, which is extremely reasonable. So if people are looking to add to their family and are interested in Cyprus, they can call the shelter or they can email adopt@aurora-il.org, and we're happy to answer any questions that they have about her.
So while COVID is going on, and given the fact that people don't come into the shelter as of right now, how does it work procedurally for someone to come view a dog or even see the dogs and cats that you have available?
Yeah, so we post them on petfinder.com, and that link is available through our city webpage as well. And so people look at the animals, there's descriptions and pictures and sometimes even videos of them, and then they inquire about the animal. And so again, we reach out via email or over the phone and talk to them about the animal and see if it's a good fit. And if they want to proceed, we send them all the paperwork and we go through all of that and all the vetting. You know, for example, if they rent, we make sure that there's landlord approval ahead of time, that they can have that type of pet where they live before we set up an appointment to do a meet.
Okay. Wow. Sounds great. And Dan, I see you're in the background. You have a friend that you, whoa, look at that. Not
See how
bad.
good we can get him up into the picture here. So this is Pippin making his video debut. We've had a couple of pictures of him up on Facebook before. He's also one of our newest residents. Came to us just this last winter.
Did you say Pippin?
Pippin is his name, yep. And he is an American kestrel.
What is that?
So these guys are the smallest and most, the smallest falcons in North America.
Wow.
And they also have one of the widest ranges and are one of the most populous. So they're just, so they're all over. They're just really hard to see because of their size. So I don't know if you can see my hand there. He's only a few inches tall, a little bit bigger than a robin. And so if you're ever out looking for kestrels and you want to see some, one of the best ways is to just drive out on some backcountry roads where there's some open farmland, hay fields and that kind of stuff, and look up on the lines. And if you see something that's about the size of a mourning dove or possibly a little smaller, about the size of a robin sitting up on there, then you can stop and take a peek at them. And a lot of times that'll end up being a kestrel that's up there doing some hunting, looking for some mice in the field or whatever to be able to get a snack to eat.
So that's what I was going to ask. What exactly do they eat? Do they just eat mice or they eat other things?
Yeah, these guys are really good at catching insects as well. So they eat butterflies and beetles if they can catch them. Sometimes they'll grab them right out of the air. And then they eat a lot of mice, the small rodents they can catch. They're really good at pouncing down on things, similar to a peregrine falcon might be in flight habit-wise. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as far as bird families, falcons and eagles, things like that, what type of birds are those? Are they call it birds of prey? Would that be in a bird of prey group?
Yes. So bird of prey, along with the hawks and like eagles, like you mentioned,
Gotcha.
They're just in their own separate group called the falcons. So they're with the peregrines and the others. And then you can usually tell the falcons, they often have an eye stripe. You can see the stripe right by his eye.
Okay.
And then another way to tell is that they have a special little tooth on their beak. If you ever get close enough to see them, it kind of looks like a little can opener tab that they use to help dispense their prey that they're going to eat.
Gotcha. And why are you wearing that glove?
Actually, this is mostly just for caution here. We, Pippin and one of the other small birds of prey that we have here, one of the screech owls, can be manned and handled with just a bare hand.
Mm-hmm.
But this just gives us both a little bit more confidence to make sure that he doesn't accidentally put a nail through or into my finger. He's got 4 little needles here on each foot that he would use to hold onto the mice. And he could scratch me a little bit with those if he got excited.
Wow. Well, Pippin making his Facebook debut there.
Mm-hmm.
Good to meet you, Pippin. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Now, Anna, looks like you brought another guest on.
Yes.
Who do we have here?
This is Wooly. He's a very busy kitten, we'll say. Wooly has a unique story in that he came to us last week after a Good Samaritan picked him up. The people in front of them, they were driving, actually tossed Wooly out of the car in a box.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. In a box?
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you to those people that stopped and picked him up. He's very affectionate. He was very nervous when he first came in. He was shaking and just, very distraught, as you can imagine. That was a very traumatic experience that happened to him. So, just want to remind people, if you're in a hard situation and you can't care for an animal anymore for whatever reason, we're here to help you. So, please call us and talk to us and let us know. And we're more than happy to, figure out a solution or help you keep the animal in your home or take it into the shelter if necessary. But we don't want people to be making choices like that because obviously it's very dangerous for the animal, but also could have caused a car accident or something like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how old would you say? Now, what would you say the cat's name was?
is Woolay.
Well, is that a girl or a boy?
It is a boy. So we do themes every month to name the animals because you can only have so many fluffies and spikes. So with April being National Poetry Month, we were naming them after poets. So, and Quentin Johnson, of course, helped us come up with all the poet names since he works here and is one of the.
Yeah. See, when you said Willie, I just thought that was another way to say Wooly. Like he's Wooly, like Wooly. Fancy way to say Wooly.
It's like Woolay Woolay.
So how old would you say Wooly is?
He is about 3 months old.
Wow, okay. So a friendly little kitten there, huh?
Yeah, he is very sweet, very outgoing. He's also available for adoption. And again, his adoption fee is $90. He has been neutered and microchipped and has all his vaccines appropriate for his age. Animals that are under a year old, it's very similar to children. He's going to need boosters and other vaccines as he gets older, and then he'll need his yearly vaccines once he passes a year old. But again, very sweet, very inquisitive.
Oh, well, Willie is super cute. Does Willie have a lot of toys to play with?
Oh, yes. And he gets to spend some time in the office as well. Although sometimes he's helping a little too much with paperwork. So sometimes we have to put him back.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Nice to meet you, Willie. Willie. Willie, right? Dan, what do you got there, brother? What is
This is my friend. This is Pepper.
Is that
Pepper
Pepper?
is one of the domestic chickens that we have here. You can see her out with the alpacas and llamas, and she's been.
Oh, wait a minute. So she's in the same enclosure with the alpacas and llamas?
She's got a small fenced-off area separate from that. So
Gotcha.
she's
Okay.
right next door to there. They share the same barn at night. They go in and have the same heat lamps and stuff like that, just outside of a stall and whatnot. So I'm distracting her with some mealworms.
You said are they mealworms? What? So what is it?
Mealworms are their immature beetle.
Oh, got you.
larvae. Mhm.
Got you. Are they alive or what?
They are, and she
They
loves
are
them.
alive. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about a domestic chicken.
We've had humans have had domestic chickens for thousands and hundreds, well, I think tens of thousands of years that we use for you eggs and whatnot and food sources. So we have a few here that we've actually been able to rescue at the zoo. One of them actually came from animal control that we've got here. Paprika is her name. And then Pepper, her roommate, was donated to the zoo by a local resident who had made the mistake of thinking that she'd be a great pet to have in the city, which is not true. If Anna were here, she'd be nodding and saying that is not. And so that didn't work out. And so we had the room, and we were able to bring Pepper and a couple of the other chickens in.
So does Pepper lay eggs?
She does. She gives us one every day.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yep.
What do you do with them?
We use those for some of the other animals as treats and food supply. And
Wow. Now, do you ever allow? Now, are there any roosters around so the eggs can hatch one day and be little chickadees?
No, we don't have any roosters, so they're not required to be able to get the eggs.
Chicks.
So other than that, then they just kind of would want to chase the keepers around and pester us in the yards. So we have a choice, and we know the sex of an animal, then we'll select for hens when we can.
Gotcha. So the only way for the egg to hatch is for a rooster to be around. Gotcha. But the eggs still come.
Yep, they just every day.
So how many other chickens? You said you have Pepper and you have Paprika?
Right now we have 2.
Okay. And does Paprika lay an egg every day as well?
Yep. So we get 2 from them, and then sometimes we'll actually get some from the peafowl as well.
Wow.
From the what? From the peahen.
Oh, you have a peahen. What is that?
Oh, that's the female version of a peacock.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what is it? What does that egg look like?
It's just a little bigger than a chicken egg.
Okay. Does it have a particular color?
I think a little bit lightly blue.
Oh, wow.
Very, very lightly tinged, if at all.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Very nice to meet you, Pepper. Pepper looks like she's enjoying her mealworms a lot there. Anna, looks like you have another guest there, and this one has long furry hair. Wow, beautiful.
Yes. Yes, this is Joy,
Joy.
and she was another kitty that was found as a stray.
Oh,
And we usually have a big challenge with getting cats reunited with their owners because they typically don't have any sort of identification on them, which is
yeah.
challenging compared to dogs. We do microchip all the animals that leave here, and we also offer microchipping to the public. So if anyone's interested in getting their dog or cat microchipped, it's only $15, and you can just call and make an appointment. That's a permanent form of identification, which is nice. So they can't lose it like a tag or a collar.
So for those folks that haven't gotten their animals microchipped before, can you just explain the process, and does it hurt the animal?
Sure. No, it really doesn't hurt. It's injected underneath the skin. It's about the size of a grain of rice. It's injected actually right back here where their scruff is.
Right.
And so if you think about when they're little, that's where their mom carries them around. So there's not a lot of nerve endings there, but it's just in between the shoulder blades. And again, since it's under the skin, they can't lose it. So
Gotcha.
it stays with them wherever they go. And then if an animal comes in as a stray, we have scanners and we scan the back of them. And then the number comes up, and that number is registered to the owner, and that's how we track the animal.
Wow, that's great. Now, can you tell us a little bit about Joy? She looks like she's a little bit more mellow than Willet.
We'll say Joy's a little bit more mature. She's about a year old.
Okay.
And again, she came just last week to us. So she's recently been spayed, but she is available for adoption, and she's very, very sweet. Yeah, definitely a little bit more laid back than Wooly. Wooly's very busy. She's a little bit more chill and snuggle kind of girl. And she does have medium hair. So she's a little bit longer coat than our little man we just saw a minute ago.
She's beautiful. Beautiful. Now, how long has she been there?
Just about a week.
Just about a week. Okay. All right. So she's ready for adoption right now. It's unlikely that the owner's going to come back.
No, she's ready for adoption. When an animal comes in as a stray, we have to hold them for 5 business days to give the owner a chance to reclaim. After that time, we go ahead and move them through the process to go up for adoption.
Beautiful. Well, very nice to meet you, Joy. All right. Thank you, Anna. Dan, what do you got back there, brother? Look like you're wow.
So I got my roommate. So I actually share my office with this nut. This is Iris. She's a green irisari. These guys are quite intelligent, which makes her the bird that I've got today that's most likely to do whatever she wants. So I don't know how long she'll be in the picture here.
So what is a green irisari? Where does that bird come from?
Well, these guys are from South America, the northeast Amazon River basin, up by the Orinoco River. So just northeast of South America. And they live in forests up there, and they are a kind of toucan. So a lot of people, when they see her, they see that beak and they're like, oh, it's like a toucan. They are. They're technically a toucanette. And these guys are one of the smallest toucans in the world.
Now, I can remember, do toucans have the ability to speak?
No, they don't mimic too awful much. Okay. But they do have quite the personality and are about as smart, by my estimation, as a crow or a parrot. And so then she decided she's going to eat that blueberry someplace else.
Okay, gotcha. So smart as a crow or parrot. So would you like follow commands?
Yeah, she's very trainable, and is trainable to the point that she will try to take advantage and actually train the keepers to give her more fruit to do something instead of just having done it on the first.
Wow.
She's a little manipulative, but
doesn't look like she's coming back into the frame there. We'll tell you what, while he chases the toucanette, and we'll go back to you. Do you have any more animal friends to introduce us to, Anna?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it.
No, that's okay. That's fine. I mean, you've introduced a lot. So let's go back up to the what'd you say the toucanette's name was one more time?
Iris.
Now, how long have you had Iris?
We've had Iris for just over a year. Came to us from a local breeder. So these guys sometimes get pulled out of the wild for the pet trade, but she was not. She was raised here in the United States.
And what's her diet mostly?
These guys are nearly 100% frugivores. So we actually
what's a
make
frugivore?
A diet for her.
What's a frugivore?
I'm sorry?
You said a frugivore?
Yep. So she eats almost entirely fruit. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we're training her for blueberries, but she'll eat apples, different kinds of melons, muskmelon and whatnot. And then we also do mangoes and papaya. We chop it up every few days, store it, and then feed her.
So she's like a little kid, no vegetables, huh?
No vegetables. She will occasionally eat some bugs. So
Really?
she likes those too, yeah.
All right. Wow. Well, you can scoot on back in the frame there, Dan, so we can see you. Maybe the toucanet will land there right on your shoulder. Has she ever done that?
Yeah, totally will.
Oh, wow.
Usually she likes either the TV that's hanging up on the wall up there as her perch or the top of this fish tank. So both of those,
Gotcha. Well, maybe
two of
we'll
her
see her.
popular spots.
Maybe we'll see her back in a few minutes. You know what? Let me ask you guys a question. Tell you what, before we go on, Anna, did you tell us about the new temporary adoption procedure that you guys have at Animal Control?
Yeah, just briefly, like I said, we're doing limited adoptions by appointment only. So again, we post all of our animals on Pet Finder. You can also follow our Facebook page as well. And if you see an animal you're interested in, then you can email directly from Pet Finder, or you can email adopt@aurora-il.org. And you're able to inquire about the animal, and we can share more information, again, see if it's a good fit for what you're looking for in your lifestyle. And if so, then we will send you paperwork and continue the process from there as far as making an appointment.
When people see temporary, what does that really mean? That the animal only goes there for a little while, comes back? What's temporary adoption procedure mean?
Oh, just for the time being because of the COVID situation. So when people adopt, we do want it to be a permanent situation. Certainly if people are looking to foster, that is a temporary situation to have the animal in your home. And certainly we're very blessed to have wonderful volunteers that when this all started, took in a large number of our animals into their house as a foster animal. And some of them still have the animals in their house. Some have been adopted. And then some, what we call in our line of work, a foster fail, which means they just fell in love with them and they couldn't let them go. So some of the fosters ended up adopting them, which was really nice to see.
But sometimes, especially over the COVID crisis, the animals don't get out as much as they normally would. If a family qualifies and decides they want to foster, then this is a possibility, a time where it's possibility for it to happen. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, animal shelters and rescue groups are seeing across the country right now, is all these people wanting to help, which is just such a wonderful thing to see in such a crisis and stressful time, that people still want to help each other and want to help animals, which is just amazing. And
Anna, let's go into that for a second, then we'll come back to Dan. That's a good point. What people want to help. And some ways of them helping might be to foster an animal, a cat or a dog. What are other ways you'd like to, put out to the community that you'd like to see folks step up and help a little bit more? Donations, food, money, what kind of help?
Oh, yes. All of those things would be wonderful. We have an Amazon wish list available, as you're shopping online and you want to, add something to your cart to help the animals. We really appreciate that. That's available. Certainly, if you want to donate money, we appreciate that as well. Or if you have items you want to drop by the shelter, you can do so anytime. Just leave them outside the front door and we'll bring them in. Staff is here every single day, like I mentioned. So if you have food or litter or blankets or towels, newspapers, we have a full wish list available as well. We appreciate donations so much because it makes a big impact for us and the animals, of course.
Where's that wish list kept? Where can people see it?
Yeah, it's available on our website. Or again, if you're not sure where to go, you can email adopt@aurora-il.org, and we're happy to send you the link for the Amazon wish list as well as our standard wish list as well.
And on the wish list includes some of the things I mentioned, food, money, all the things you pointed out, blankets and toys, and all the things that animals need to have a good life, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of food and treats and litter we go through every day is quite large. And, if we don't have to spend the money to purchase those items, we can spend more on the medical care and some of the other things that people can't donate to. Other than that, I would say, certainly taking care of your own animal, making sure that they are spayed and neutered. So as much as we love puppies and kittens, we don't need any more in this area because we have enough animals.
We have plenty. I hear you. So Dan, let's switch to you for a second, brother. What are some of the ways the community can help our animals in the zoo?
Well, the number one way to help the animals is we actually have an animal adoption program that has been set up online so that you can select from different levels of giving between $25 and I think around $200, although there is an open end as well.
So hold on a second. Let's be clear. When you say animal adoption program, the animal's not going home with the people, right?
Oh, no, we'll continue to take care of it. So our adoption program is different than Anna's is.
Explain your program.
So ours is that you give us some money, and then we actually use that money to provide different care, whether it's toys, enrichment, different food items and whatnot, to those animals directly. So that if you make a donation for the wolves, or if you make a donation for the cougar, then we save those funds, we mark those specifically for those animals. And then when we're looking to redo treats or come up with a new way to keep Tonka busy, then we'll have some of those funds reserved to be able to pull those out. And so it helps out a lot for being able to do those.
Beautiful. Now, where would somebody donate if they decide they want to donate money or treats or, adopt an animal? Where would they be able to do that at?
For ours, you can find
Yes.
it either on the Facebook page for the Phillips Park Zoo. There's a tab there that says donate on the bottom, and that links you also then to the city's zoo web page, which has a donate tab on the bottom of that. And then you can select which animals you want to adopt, the levels that you want to do, and that takes you right out and to your credit card checkout.
And that's for every animal, Pepper and Paprika and all the chickens and the new what are the new alpacas names? One more
That's
time.
Mario and Mateo.
Mario, Mateo. So every animal there individually.
We have 5 that we list as available, but you actually can donate for any animal. So there's an other tab, and so that if you had an animal that you really like here and wanted to donate, like say Mario, then we don't have any problem with that. You just put that in the other. Or if you make a donation, I actually contact everybody to make sure that I know what animal they wanted to do. So if you made a donation, I'm going to contact you anyway.
Gotcha.
And then, we can discuss it if you had a certain way that you want that money to be spent or whatever. We can work on that.
Well, thank you guys. We're going to, Clayton, are you there, brother? We're going to take some questions from the audience if somebody has some, but I appreciate everything you guys have told us today. But let's see if we have some folks that want to ask some questions to you directly.
Really informative. Mayor, the first question is for you. They want to know how Leroy Jenkins is.
Well, Leroy Jenkins is my dog. Leroy Jenkins is a dog that belongs to a little Chihuahua that I love a whole lot. I grew up with Chihuahuas actually as a little boy. And I just have an affinity for little barky Chihuahuas. And matter of fact, I think it was the first week I became mayor of the city of Aurora. The first week we went to visit the animal shelter and we saw Leroy Jenkins, and my assistant chief of staff was with me, and fell in love with Leroy. And we took Leroy back to the mayor's office. Because matter of fact, I don't even think my assistant chief of staff was with us, but we took Leroy back to the mayor's office. And I tried to convince my mom to adopt Leroy because, Leroy looks so much like the Chihuahuas I grew up with. But she already has a dog and a cat. And then my assistant chief of staff fell in love with Leroy Jenkins, and now he's part of their family.
Next question is thanking you all for calming the fears about COVID being in animals. They appreciate that. But they said their concern is still about rabies. So what do they do if they have bats or skunks that they need to have taken away from their property?
Anna?
Yes, sir. I got it. So bats are the #1 carrier of rabies in this area. It's still a very low percentage. Officers will still come out if there is clear direct exposure to a person. So we are limited a little bit with that because obviously we're trying to balance that along with safety of the people in the home and our officers. If you have, bats repeatedly entering the home, you really want to call a private trapper and removal service and obviously figure out how they're getting in and how do you fix that problem. So you make sure that's not an ongoing issue and really get to the root of the problem so you can have a solid solution.
Wonderful. Next question. They want to know if they've seen an increase in coyotes in the neighborhood. Is this that time of year, or is it because of the stay-at-home order and there are less people outside, so the coyotes feel more comfortable coming through the neighborhoods?
Dan, do you want to
Dan,
comment?
that might be a Dan question.
So I think it's probably actually both. So this is the time of year where they're going to start looking to do dens and reproduce, which can lead to some increased activity. But we're also spending so much time, like they're just out and about more. So if you look out your window, then they're a little bit more comfortable. Coyotes are incredibly adaptive to the environment that they're in. If they keep bumping into humans during the day, they're going to be out at night. If we were always out at night, then they would be out at the day. And they just flip that really, really quickly. Raccoons are another one. Like the previous question might have suggested, even just walking around in the park. Usually during the day, you don't hardly see them at all. They're just resting. But now, a little bit earlier, you can start to see them running around and being raccoons, raiding garbage cans and whatnot around here. So,
Wonderful. Thank you. Couple more questions here. So we see on the news all these animal shelters throughout the country being vacated because people are home, they want pets. Is there an opportunity to clear the shelter type of event and for the Aurora Animal Care?
Yeah, I would say right now our population is actually really low. A big part of that, again, is us not taking in owner surrenders at this time. And we're very blessed to have our volunteers that stepped up and fostered a great deal of animals for us, as well as staff members as well. So our dog population overall right now is very low. Cats, we're starting to see more numbers. Unfortunately, you know, again, they're out and they're breeding. So we're having kittens that are starting to come in, pregnant moms and cats that are nursing. So we're doing a good job placing them. It is very exciting to see the shelters being cleared out. And again, I try to look at the positives from all of this, that, you know, people are looking for a way to help. And since they're home, they have a desire to adopt. And that's wonderful. So if people are looking to adopt a pet, again, they can reach out to us. And we can, you know, give them information about the animals that we do have, or they can reach out to some of the other area shelters as well.
Wonderful. A couple more here. Last two. What's the most unique animal you've taken in at the animal shelter besides a cat or a dog? What's the most unique animal?
Oh, goodness. Well, last year we had a potbelly pig that came in as a stray. Some very nice person was walking their dog in February in a park, and the pig came right up to them and said hello.
So wait a minute, wait. A potbelly pig stray just kind of wandering around the neighborhood?
Oh, yes. 2 years ago, we had a tegu, which is a very large lizard that one of our officers picked up on somebody's deck. We got a call and they thought it was an alligator, and went out there and it was a very large lizard. But I know in my career, I've personally picked up an alligator before, mud puppies, all sorts of interesting things people decide to ship in the mail or have as pets. And I know here that the officers have picked up a miniature horse before. We have had chickens and roosters and snakes and all sorts of birds and reptiles. So it's an exciting part of the job. You never know what's gonna walk in.
You never know what you're gonna get, huh?
Exactly.
And Dan, this is from Catherine. She said she loves coming out to the zoo. They feel like they know all the animals very well because they come all the time. She wants to know what's the wildest animal that they see that's actually really tame, that they would be surprised is that tame.
oh boy, the animal here that they see that's actually really tame.
Yeah, but they would think really well.
Yeah, I think that would be probably Tonka. So he's always really aloof and hiding in the back.
What kind of animal is Tonka?
Sorry, Tonka is the cougar that we have here.
It's really, he won't bite. Really tamed.
But Tonka was actually hand raised by a couple of the keepers here.
Really?
And yeah, so we don't go in with Tonka. So we're not that kind of comfortable. We don't get along that way. But Lynn actually is able to work with him very closely. He'll come up to the fence for her, kind of, you know, like purrs or rubs up against the fence, and really likes her to scratch him or whatever. And then she can do some training. She'll get him to stand up on, you know, show him the belly or whatnot. So he's not as wild as he appears to be. Where the wolves could be another candidate for that. Sierra and Montana, when Montana was here, those guys were both very tame with the keepers. We just go right in with them. But they're wolves, and so they're really scary. But
The last is a comment for you, Mayor. Says, thanks for hosting this for all the animal lovers. It's such an uncertain time. They're really nervous all the time about things happening in the world. This is a nice, calm way to go into the weekend. So thanks to everybody for hosting that.
You know what? Absolutely. And I want to say thank you to Ann and Dan here. Oftentimes when we get into a crisis like this, we forget, those things that make us feel happy when we see them, the dogs, the cats, or the animals that we see, when we go visit the zoo. And it's important that we not forget about our animal friends. And you guys make sure that we take care of them, day after day, week after week, year after year. So I appreciate what you do for the city of Aurora and for our community, animal community at large. You guys make us smile. You make us proud to be Aurorans. So thank you guys for coming on with me this sunny Friday afternoon. And let's not let this be the last time. Let's do this again and always keep our residents apprised of what's going on in our animal community. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Richard Irvin signing off.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend.